Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. I think many of us would agree FSD can wait a little long to get over to take an exit, but it's that very fact that gives us highlight clips like this.
在前方转，靠右前方，出主路，往泰然九路、泰然七路方向，200米处有限速拍照。
我操，这么直接拉过去啊！我操！
右前方，出主路，
连边5条车道。
泰然九路，
哎呦我操！
方向，随后200米右转。
我操，连边5条车道。
200米后右转。
有车，大哥，吓死我了！
哎呦我操！
I mean, to get to the right and get out of the way of this car and to slow down enough to let that biker go by, I thought that was incredibly impressive. As expected, it's now official. Tesla will be launching supervised FSD down under in Australia. It's been a long wait for Australian Tesla owners as they were able to buy this package dating back to 2019. The rumors were true. FSD will launch on hardware 4 vehicles first. Australians will be getting the software branch 2025.32, which does have FSD 13 and 12.6.4. So the latter should be for hardware 3 cars, but for now we do not have a timeline on when that could actually go wide. The initial deployment here might be slow. It sounds like Tesla's doing the early access program again, so select customers to begin. The cost for Australians to buy it outright will be 10,100 Australian dollars, which right now is roughly 6,500 US dollars. And then those who already bought enhanced autopilot will just pay the difference. So again, to be clear for Australians, if you buy FSD now, that's no guarantee you're going to get FSD right away. Tesla's starting with its own early access group and then will go wider from there. And now all Teslas sold in Australia will come with a free 30-day trial of FSD. And the word is that a subscription option will eventually become available for Australians, but no word on what the pricing will be or when that will be available.
This is the first roundabout. There's a truck coming to my right. Oh, it's indicating. Okay, there's another one. Okay, a little bit of a dither, but that is a freaky sensation. I'm holding my hands here like an awkward dork. That was a bit jerky. Yep, that is better than probably 60% of the drivers on Australian roads. That's, okay. I'm impressed. Colour me impressed. This is going quite well.
On Tuesday, we talked about the importance of this and the significance of FSD operating in a market where cars are on the left side of the road. When you really think about how Tesla is dragging and dropping its FSD and this neural net model on new continents like this, I do find it almost hard to believe. So Tesla hasn't proven the doubters wrong about scaling issues in the US yet for Robotaxi, although I'm hyper confident they will soon, but I am still baffled as to anyone that does not understand Tesla's path to scaling FSD globally with a step like this. Right-hand drive, left-hand drive, it doesn't matter. Tesla's FSD is clearly ready to roll in many other countries too. It's just the regulations need to catch up, and when that happens, Tesla will start receiving a massive influx of new data. Tesla Europe and Middle East posted this teaser saying spoiler alert, showing the spoiler of a vehicle, which is either the Model Y Performance or the Model Y L. If I had to guess, I'm going with the former. And whatever it is set to be revealed tomorrow on Friday the 29th. The rest of this for now is speculation, but the word is a 0 to 60 time for the Model Y Performance, around 3.3 seconds, 510 horsepower, around 290 miles of EPA range, an 83 kilowatt hour LG battery, and they are saying possibly a black headliner, but a lot of the other Model Y L interior upgrades that I was hoping to see on the Model Y Performance so far have not been mentioned. But again, if it is the Model Y Performance, we should know the specs at least for the European market as of tomorrow. Late last night, Tesla Australia and New Zealand said we're sunsetting Tesla Energy Plan in Australia. The next generation of Tesla electricity plans is coming soon. So what's going on here? Well, going back, Tesla launched this program in South Australia with a partner, Energy Locals. And from there, it expanded to a few other territories. It was a virtual power plant with many of the benefits benefits you would expect. So this version of Tesla's energy plan will end September 30th this year. There's no official word out there on why Tesla's canceling this program other than there's something better coming. But if you've been following along, you may remember this. AGL Energy bought South Australia's virtual power plant from Tesla. As we talked about, the sale to AGL allowed them to integrate it into their network, which would likely reduce Tesla's operational involvement. So just speculation on my part, but this could be Tesla decoupling from working with partners and looking to go to a more direct-to-consumer model, which would be more like Tesla Electric in the US and the UK, becoming a direct energy retailer. But clearly something is going on at Tesla when it comes to energy. As Penny said, America should be building power plants and battery storage, to which Elon said, I have a plan for that. I skipped over this earlier this week, but for good reason. I plan to do a quick segment on this in tomorrow's video on Friday. Apparently you guys love these opportunities, and so really I can't thank you all enough for supporting the channel in this way, but more importantly, you're supporting a great cause and giving yourself the chance to win a brand new Tesla or the EV of your choice, or yes, $50,000 in cash. How is that? By entering Chesed Chicago's 11th annual Tesla raffle. And yes, I verified their nonprofit status and EIN, and you can find all of the past winners of the raffle right here. I chose to work with Chesed not only because I know Teslas are still out of reach for many, and of course it would be a sick story if one of our Electrified community members won this raffle, but also because they do incredible work in Chicago where I have family living. These raffles help to support families in crisis through 80+ different life-saving programs, from food and furniture to medical equipment and assistance, education and mentoring, job placement, and more, all serving the local community. Only 9,999 tickets will be sold, and once they're gone or the drawing date hits, that's a wrap and no further entries will be accepted. The drawing is scheduled for this Labor Day, September 1st, 2025, so you don't have much time left. So if you're interested, make sure to head to ccraffle.com as soon as possible and use my promo code Electrified to get $25 off 2 tickets or $500 off 15. That's ccraffle.com and my code Electrified for your chance to win a Tesla or another luxury electric vehicle or that $50,000 cash. And again, importantly, to help a great cause at the same time. I'm wishing all of you Electrified community members the best of luck. I'm guessing many of you have seen these charts showing Tesla's geofence area compared to Waymo's and the rate of expansion. And James Stevenson put together this animation showing that same data in a different format. We know there's plenty of controversy about geofence sizes and people saying that's irrelevant and all that matters is fleet size and removing the safety monitors. And to each their own, but is there a right answer here? Naturally, Tesla fans are going to spam these graphs around, but the thing is, this metric really is not that important to success for autonomous companies. That metric being the size of the geofence. For starters, these gross square mileage figures do not adjust for bodies of water, farmland, or population density of the area. You can cover the earth if you want, but if your fleet is limited, that metric quickly becomes largely irrelevant. So from first principles, these are the most important metrics to track for Tesla and any autonomous company. Number 1 is the safety record. Regulatory approvals and customer adoption hinge on this, and without compelling safety data, nothing else matters. The problem for us as retail investors is all of these companies, including Tesla, are very opaque with their safety data. It's easy to poke holes in Tesla's autopilot safety data, and Waymo has been criticized many times for being even less transparent than Tesla. But that is the most important metric because we don't have an autonomous future without stellar safety records. But from there, the number 2 most important thing to track is going to be the gross bookings, aka revenue. How many riders are using your service and how much are they willing to pay? And metric number 3 would be the cost per autonomous mile. Even if a company finds great success with point number 2, if the costs continue to exceed revenue over the long term, then you do not have a sustainable business model. This metric highlights any operational efficiencies, and if companies cannot drive this down sufficiently, turning a profit will never happen. And honestly, the way I see it, after those 3 metrics, everything else is baked into those first 3 to some degree. Whether it's trips completed, number of vehicles in the fleet, your geographic coverage, the utilization rates, autonomous miles traveled, all of those metrics can be boiled down and distilled into those 3 metrics that I listed. So look, of course I'll keep sharing all of the metrics and updates that we get, but I think it's important as an investor to differentiate between signal and noise. And no, I'm not arguing geofence numbers are just noise, I'm just saying they're not the be-all end-all for autonomous companies. As I've said before, if Tesla covers all of the US tomorrow, but the fleet's still under 30 cars, that's not really going to move the needle at all for what matters most in the end, which is profitability. And yes, of course, giving the elderly and disabled more autonomy and saving lives and improving the road trip experience, these are all, quite frankly, priceless things to the overall human experience. But again, as an investor in Tesla or any autonomous company, sadly, none of that will matter if Tesla's financials don't improve from Robotaxi operations by the end of next year. So ultimately, I just thought it was important to make that clarification so we all don't get carried away tracking metrics that really aren't the main ones from a first principles standpoint. The Observer did a nice piece on the Tesla diner and had a chance to talk to the head chef, Eric Greenspan. He said, "At some point, I look forward to sharing the details of what I think has been the craziest LA restaurant opening in history." He said, "I've never experienced anything remotely close to this madness." They said it's still extremely busy on the weekends, but the hype has died down a bit during the week. If you didn't know, the Tesla diner is running a scratch kitchen that's cooking everything to order. And Eric's heard the chatter about not enough vegan options, and he said Tesla's a brand about sustainable abundance, and we definitely have a mandate in many ways to have plant-based options. Like this new portobello mushroom sandwich. They talked a lot about milkshakes. Eric said, "We believe we serve the greatest milkshakes in America." And they're coming up with some new cool ones like a ceremonial matcha shake or an espresso milkshake. And right here, Eric said he's had some discussions with Tesla and its engineers about whether he should train a robot to make burgers, and so far, Eric has declined. And Tesla said food orders at the Tesla diner are now ready in under 15 minutes. Overall, the launch has gone incredibly well, and there are new menu items continually being added. We got the latest data from the ACEA, and the overall car market year to date through July is down 0.7% year over year. And the full battery electric market share year to date sits at 15.6%, which was up from about 12.3% during the same time last year. But hybrid electric vehicles make up the biggest share of all vehicles at 34.7%, and then plug-in hybrids add another 8.6%. So across the EU, hybrids are far and away the most popular option. Having a quick look at the biggest countries for full BEV sales. By volume, Germany's still in the #1 spot far and away, and they're actually up 38.4% year to date. The second biggest full EV market, France, is actually down 4.3% year over year. And in third by volume is Belgium, which is up 17.6%. And now the breakdown by manufacturer across the EU, EFTA, and the UK. We'll just focus on year-to-date numbers. VW is up 3.6% overall. Stellantis down 8.1%. Renault up nearly 6%, Hyundai down 4%, Toyota down 7%, BMW up 5%. So you can see across the board it's mostly a mixed bag, but Tesla is down 33.6% year to date. And just comparing July to July last year, Tesla's down 40.2%. So that sales volume spike that many of us were hoping to see sometime over the summer really has yet to materialize. So per the usual, So part of it is Tesla brand damage. Part of it is consumers are looking into hybrids more than they're looking into full BEVs. And as always, incentive structures across the EU are ever evolving. But at the end of the day, outside of Jaguar, Tesla is actually showing the worst year-to-date performance year over year. Jaguar, the only company doing worse, is down 82.2%. So I just want to make it okay to say that things just aren't going well for Tesla across the EU this year, and there are no signs of a rebound from inventory restocking or new Model Y sales. And I'm not going to sit here and try to justify it, because if you go back and watch my videos earlier this year, I said I was waiting until sometime around July to see that spike in new Model Y sales. I said by then inventory challenges shouldn't be a problem and we should see a spike in the numbers. And here's that July data, and it just hasn't happened. And dropping into the Chinese market, Deutsche Bank is saying Tesla China's new order flow in August is projected to surge by about 100% month over month to an estimated 130,000 units, primarily driven by, you guessed it, the Model Y L. And as we highlighted, customers buying that vehicle today won't receive it until October. Remember how Sony and Honda were trying to sell its new luxury EV, the Afeela, in California direct to consumer? Well, the California New Car Dealers Association has filed a lawsuit against them both. They're saying by cutting dealers out, they're stripping vital consumer protections like local service support, transparent pricing, and warranty assistance. Transparent pricing. Think about that if you've ever been to a car dealership. I actually worked at one for 3 weeks many years ago, and I can tell you firsthand, pricing is anything but transparent for the consumer. But that's besides the point. The Dealers Association is asking the court for immediate injunctive relief to stop reservations and require any future sales take place through licensed franchise dealers. If you're wondering, wait a second, how can Tesla sell direct to customers in California? It's because Tesla operates without any franchise dealer network in the state, which means there's no existing franchisees to protect from competition by the manufacturer. So companies like Tesla and Rivian are in the clear because they were founded on that direct-to-consumer model and don't have any legacy franchise agreements. Just one more headache for Legacy Auto. Finally, we have some autonomous testing of Tesla cars in boring tunnels in Las Vegas. They said this autonomous testing started before Tesla's Robotaxi launch in June, and that no passengers have been in vehicles during the testing. So far, all of the initial testing has been done with the regular FSD from the factory, and they said there have been no scrapes or accidents so far, though safety drivers have periodically had to intervene and take control of the vehicles. In the future, the Boring Company will remove safety drivers from the front seat during testing, but there's no telling when that will happen, as it'll depend on when Tesla and the Boring Company can demonstrate it's safe to do so. The CEO of Vegas Convention said, "I think it's a ways off." He said the vehicles are currently experiencing the environment as they find spots that are difficult for them. The rock walls of the tunnels, combined with the bright, colorful lights in the passageways, create some interesting but odd lighting for Tesla's FSD. But as we all know, outside of where these vehicles actually pick up and drop off passengers, this could not be any easier. For the most part, other than a few trespassers in the boring tunnels, there are no edge cases. But for whatever reason, right now, they don't sound overly optimistic that these Tesla vehicles will be fully autonomous in the Boring Company tunnels anytime soon. The official Robotaxi account confirmed Tesla did increase the service area in Austin from 91 to 173 square miles, and then said also increased the number of cars available by 50%, which at first sounds great, but when you go back to the fact that Tesla likely only had 12 cars operating in Austin, a 50% growth would only be adding 6 vehicles to the fleet. So by that math, they would now be at around 18 vehicles operating. Unless, of course, my starting number was wrong, but either way, it still seems like Tesla's robotaxi fleet is under 30 vehicles in Austin. Speaking of that, we finally got an update on Waymo and its fleet size in the Bay Area. They now have Waymo vehicles at more than 800 across the Bay Area, which was up 200 from just a few months back. And remember what I said about Waymo earlier not being transparent? Well, here's one of those quotes. A former San Francisco supervisor said Waymo is one of the most uncooperative, non-transparent, opaque organizations he had dealt with in his pair of two-term stints. But this update from Waymo unveiled it deploys now more than 2,000 commercial vehicles in the US, up from that 1,500 number back in May. In addition to 800 vehicles in San Francisco, 400 are in Phoenix, and 500 are in Los Angeles. That would be 1,700 total, and then if there's another 300, those would likely be split between Austin and Atlanta. And the rest of today's episode is going to be tying up some loose ends from earlier this week. I got all mixed up trying to plan for the Starship launch, but for those that don't stay plugged in elsewhere, I don't want to miss anything, so here's everything else I found important to pass along. On this one, I'm not going to dive into it because we've actually been talking about this now for over 5 years. So maybe it's just me because I've been doing this for so long, but I do have LiDAR fatigue. But of course, Uber's CEO is talking his bag, saying he thinks it's going to be very hard to build a camera-only product that has superhuman levels of safety. Which, when you think about it, is interesting because Dara has been saying how desperately he wants Tesla to work with Uber and put Tesla's vehicles on the Uber network. But if Dara thinks that Tesla's autonomous approach is the wrong one, then why would he want Tesla vehicles on the Uber network? But here's what Elon said, just because I don't want to become a gatekeeper. He said, LiDAR and radar reduce safety due to sensor contention. If LiDARs and radars disagree with the cameras, which one wins? This is part of the sensor fusion problem we've talked about now dozens of times. Back to Elon, this sensor ambiguity causes increased, not decreased risk. That's why Waymo's can't drive on highways. On that point, I would interject again, that's not entirely true. Waymos can actually operate on the highway, and they're doing so right now, but it's only for internal testing with employees, and only in select markets like Phoenix and San Francisco. So it's true that feature's not yet available to public riders, but it is working right now for employees. Waymo's just not ready to take on the risk with the public. Back to Elon, we turned off the radars in Teslas to increase safety, cameras for the win. And today, Elon said LiDAR also does not work well in snow, rain, or dust due to reflection scatter. That's why Waymos stop working in any heavy precipitation. Again, I would push back on that. Waymos have plenty of videos out there working in heavy rain. Now, sometimes they stop and pull over, but definitely not all of the time. Back to Elon, as I've said many times, there is a role for LiDAR in some circumstances, and I personally oversaw the development of LiDAR for the SpaceX Dragon docking with Space Station. I'm well aware of its strengths and weaknesses. And instead of just taking it from me, listen to what Ronnie said. I've worked on automotive radar, LiDAR, and sensor fusion. I can tell you with certainty, sensor fusion adds latency, which reduces the ability of the car to react. It means that doing high-speed autonomous is significantly more challenging, which is exactly what we've been talking about over the years. More complexity means slower reaction times. And that's not the only problem. It's determining which sensor is right when there is disagreement. So yeah, it's not just the cost argument that removing LiDAR makes the system cheaper, but it's also a safety argument. It might actually be safer without these extra sensors. And the only reason I put that might in there is because it looks like we might need another year or so to have undebatable data. But until we get to that point and we can see which solution is operating in snow and on highways and in heavy rain incident-free time after time, we're just going to be stuck with the skeptics and this ongoing debate. On this topic, Elon also said Tesla developed high-resolution radar and the hardware is actually present in the Model S and X, but it just cannot compare to passive optical, which is cameras, so we turned it off. So Tesla spent the money, did the R&D, developed their own high-res radar, put it in the cars, and then realized, you know what, it's still not as good as the data from the cameras. So really, I mean, what more is there to say that hasn't been said already? And I thought this was hilarious and also very true. Elon said precise laser tracking in space at around 2,500 miles while moving at around 25 times the speed of sound. With the video to go with it, and I, like Tesla, said, imagine trying to tell Elon what sensors he needs in his cars. So when we think about it from that perspective, I mean, what are we really arguing here? And just to clarify, Yoon Tasai, a Tesla engineer, said no HD map required for Tesla's Robotaxi. Elon doubled down, saying no maps required at all. Now, of course, Tesla does use maps for navigation, but I think what Elon and Yoon Tasai meant was that Tesla does not need maps for perception and or control of FSD. And we know you can turn FSD on in your car with no destination and it'll just drive. A more practical example, Mike said the layout of this on-ramp has changed 3 to 4 times in the last month thanks to construction. Every time FSD has no problem navigating through the new routing, that isn't map accurate. And Tesla said supervised FSD works without the latest maps or any maps. So again, what they're saying, it's photons in and controls out. There are no maps needed in that part of the equation. And you can imagine how a company like Waymo that relies on HD maps that are up to date would have to continually maintain those maps, which is expensive and time consuming. Again, a point we've made here on the channel dozens of times, but clearly most of the population still does not understand. We got the weekly number for Tesla China. It came in at 10,300 compared to the same week in Q2. That was 11,000. So quarter over quarter, Tesla China up 47.8%. Year over year, down 12%. And zooming out year to date, Tesla China is down 6.5%. The breakdown for the week, 8,300 Model Y, 2,000 Model 3, and don't forget Model YL deliveries are set to begin in early September. Andre Thierig said only 6 months after the start of production, Tesla already built 100,000 new Model Ys. I just wanted to add, I saw people dividing 100,000 by 6 to get around 16,600, which would be the monthly production number, multiplying that by 12 to get a current annual run rate of 200,000, which is incorrect. That, of course, completely fails to account for any production ramp, meaning the current monthly production rate is likely a lot higher than 16,600 because for the first 1 to 3 months, the production number was likely much lower. Tesla Chan shared a photo of the Model YL and the white interior that Tesla China is calling light gray, but you can see things like the door handle and the armrest and parts of the center console are also white. Whereas the regular Model Y, even if you have a white interior, those parts are still black. Responding to James Dauma, Elon said FSD version 14 will be better than a human for sure, but I don't know if it will be 10 times better. Maybe 2x to 3x. Version 15 has a shot at 10x. This has been out there for a few days and plenty of people have already talked about it. The only clarification I wanted to make was Elon is saying version 14 might be 2 to 3 times better than a human, not 2 to 3 times better than version 13. But unfortunately, this brings us back to the question that is still unanswered. What does better than a human even mean? What are we actually measuring here? And not only that, but if it's not already obvious, not all humans are the same. Some are incredible drivers and some are horrific drivers. So how does that all balance out in Tesla's book? Well, still, we have no idea. But wherever that lands and whatever Tesla thinks it is, version 14 should be 2 to 3 times better than that. Elon also said there are so many rare situations in real life that even version 14, while capable of being much safer than the average human driver, will take a few months to debug post-release. Which, if you've been following the story, is nothing new. The first release is the worst release. And then from there, each point update smooths everything out. and ultimately refines the model. And yes, I understand why some took this comment to be bearish on removing safety monitors, but I've learned not to read too far into Elon's comments on X. Sometimes they just mean what they mean on the surface and nothing more. And oftentimes they're not fully thought out analysis, it's just what's likely to happen in Elon's mind at the time. A new Tesla software update is rolling out slowly. This one includes low power mode. So you'll have more control over your car's standby energy consumption. You'll still be able to wake it up and access it from your Tesla app, but you'll now be able to disable a variety of features that drain power in certain situations. Think summon standby, sentry mode, cabin overheat protection, scheduled preconditioning, the newer keep accessory power on, and some others. As it is now, not all of those features that drain power can be turned off through the mobile app. So basically, this low power mode will give owners a simple one button access to turn off all features at once. And you should be able to do this through the Tesla app. And the word is you will be able to customize this if you want certain features turned back on after you turn everything off. Tesla currently has over 60 job listings for delivery vehicle prep, some full-time, some part-time. And for whatever it's worth to you, Call She's forecast is now at 496,000 deliveries for Tesla in Q3. Q3 last year, Tesla delivered just under 463,000 vehicles. And I won't give the exact number away, but Troy Teslike is just under that number for his expectations for Q3 this year. But he's certainly not infallible, and frankly, the Q3 numbers don't really matter. They're going to be distorted with the pull forward. So all the market's really going to care about is Tesla's forward guidance and what their deliveries look like when the tax credit is gone. On that point, Tesla's inventory is low, if not gone, in certain parts of the US, to which Raj from Tesla said trending toward a need to expedite output even further, which could mean adjusting pricing upward in the coming days, trying hard not to, we'll see. So yes, Tesla's on track to have an excellent Q3, but that could set up for a challenging Q4, which is why Tesla's saving the more affordable models, the Model Y Performance, and perhaps the Model Y L in the US for Q4. Raj also said that Tesla will optimize the design on the configurator to offer both the full purchase and subscriptions with a free trial for FSD. So not only will you be able to buy FSD outright when you buy your vehicle, you'll also be able to subscribe to the monthly option. For my Canadians, Drive Tesla Canada has confirmed the new Model Y from Giga Berlin has been approved for Quebec's $4,000 EV rebate. Tesla stock closed the day at $345.98, down 1.04%, while the NDX was up 0.58%. The volume was 20% below the average. And don't forget, check out Chested Chicago's raffle linked below to get those discounted entries, to support a great cause, and to give yourself a chance to win a Tesla, another luxury EV, or that $50,000 cash. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video. If you did, you can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.